When I last read, Mama was fired from her job, and we aren't quite sure who's responsible for that yet, but we have our ideas. They're walking home. Mama, said Christopher John when we reached the road, can you ever teach no more? Mama didn't answer immediately. When she did, her voice was muffled. Somewhere else, maybe, but not here, at least not for a while. But how's come, Mama? Demanded Little Man. How's come? Because, baby, she said finally, I taught things some folks just didn't want to hear. When we reached home, Papa and Mr. Morrison were both in the kitchen with Big Ma drinking coffee. As we entered, Papa searched our faces. His eyes settled on Mama. The pain was in her face. What's wrong? What's wrong? He asked. Mama sat down beside him. She pushed back a strand of hair that had worked its way free of her bun, but it fell back into her face again, and she left it there. I got fired. Big Ma put down her cup weakly without a word. Papa reached out and touched Mama. She said, Hall and Granger came to the school with Caleb Wallace and one of the school board members. Somebody had told them about those books I'd pasted over, but that was only an excuse. They're just getting at us any way they can because of shopping in Vicksburg. Her voice cracked. What do we do, David? We needed that job. Papa gently pushed the stray hair back over her ear. We'll get by. Plant more cotton, maybe. We'll get by. There was quiet reassurance in his voice. Mama nodded and stood. Where are you going, child? Big Ma added. Outside. I just want to walk for a bit. Christopher John and Little Man and I turned to follow her, but Papa called us back. Leave your mama be, he said. As we watched her slowly cross the backyard to the barren garden and head toward the south pasture, Mr. Morrison said, You know, with you here, Mr. Logan, you got no need of me. Maybe there's work to be had around here. Maybe I could get something, help you out. Papa stared across at Mr. Morrison. There's no call for you to do that. He said, I'm not paying you anything as it is. Mr. Morrison said softly, I got me a nice house to live in, the best cooking a man could want. And for the first time in a long time, I got me a family. That's right good pay, I'd say. Papa nodded. You're a good man, Mr. Morrison. I thank you for the offer, but I'll be leaving in a few weeks, and I'd rather you be here. His eyes focused on Mama again, a tiny figure in the distance now. Papa, rasped Christopher John, moving closer to him. Mama gonna be all right. Papa turned and, putting his arm around Christopher John, drew him even nearer. Son, your mama, she's born to teaching like the sun is born to shine. And it's going to be real hard on her not teaching anymore. It's going to be real hard because ever since she was a wee bitty girl down in the Delta, she wanted to be a teacher. And Grandpa wanted her to be one too, didn't he? Asked Stacy. Papa nodded. Your mama was his baby child, and every penny he'd get his hands on, he'd put it aside for her schooling. And that wasn't easy for him because he was a tenant farmer and he didn't have much cash money, but he promised your grandmama before she died to see your mama got a good education. And when your mama come high school age, he sent her up to Jackson to school, then on to teacher training school. It was just because he died her last year of schooling that she come up here to teach instead of going back to the Delta. And y'all got married and she ain't gone back down there, did she? Interjected Little Man. Papa smiled faintly at him and stood up. That's right, son. She was too smart and pretty to let get away. He stooped and looked out the window again, then back at us. She's a strong, fine woman, your mama, and this thing won't keep her down. But it's hurt her bad. So I want y'all to be extra thoughtful for the next few days and remember what I told you, you hear? Yes, sir, Papa, we answered. Papa left us then and went on to the back porch. There, he leaned against the porch pillar for several minutes, staring out toward the pasture. But after a while, he stepped into the yard and crossed the garden to join Mama. TJ? You sure? Stacy asked little Willie Wiggins at recess the next day. Little Willie nodded morosely and answered, Heard him myself. Clarence, too. Was standing right upside him at the store when he told Mr. Caleb. Come talk about how Miss Logan failed him on purpose, says she wasn't a good teacher and that she was the one that stopped everybody from coming up to their store. Says she even was destroying school property, talking about them books, you know. Who's gonna take them? I cried. Hush, Cassie, said Stacy. How come you just tell me this now, little Willie? Little Willie shrugged. I guess I got fooled by old TJ. Clarence and me, we told him we was going to tell it as soon as we left the store, but TJ asked us not to, said he was going right back to tell them it wasn't nothing but a joke, what he said. And he went back, too. I thought nothing was going to come of it. He hesitated and then confessed. Didn't say nothing about it before because Clarence and I wasn't supposed to be up there ourselves. But then here come Mr. Granger yesterday and fires Miss Logan, and I figure that's TJ's doing. He's probably figured it, too, I said. That's why he ain't in school today. Talking about he's sick, said Christopher John. If he ain't now, he's gonna be, prophesied the little man, his tiny fist balled for action. Round here telling on Mama. After school, when Claude turned up the forest trail leading to the Avery's house, we went with him. As we emerged from the forest into the Avery yard, the house appeared deserted, but then we spied TJ lazily swinging straddle-legged atop an inner tube hanging from an old oak tree in the front yard. Stacy immediately charged toward him, and when TJ saw him coming, he tried to swing his long right leg over the tube to escape. He didn't make it. Stacy jumped up on the inner tube, giving them both a jerky ride before they landed hard on Miss Avery's azalea bush. Man, what's the matter with you? TJ cried as he rolled from under Stacy to glance back at the flattened bush. My mama gonna kill me when she see that bush. Stacy jumped up and jerked at TJ's collar. Was you the one? Did you do it? TJ looked completely bewildered. Do what? What you talking about? Did you tell it? You tell them Wallaces about Mama? Me? Asked TJ. Me? Why, man, you ought to know better than that. He do know you, I said. How come you think we up here? Hey, now, wait a minute, objected TJ. I don't know what somebody been telling y'all, but I ain't told them Wallaces nothing. He was down there, Stacy accused. The day Mama caught you cheating, you went to them Wallaces. Well, that don't mean nothing, said TJ, jerking away from Stacy's grip and hopping to his feet. My daddy say I can go down there if I want it. Don't mean I told them folks nothing, though. Heard you told them all sorts of things. Like Mama didn't know nothing. She wasn't even teaching what she's supposed to. Didn't neither, denied TJ. He never said that. All I said was that it was her that... His voice trailed off as he realized he'd said too much, and he began to laugh uneasily. Hey, look, y'all, I don't know how come Miss Logan got fired, but I ain't said nothing to make nobody fire her. All I said was that she failed me again. A fella got a right to be mad about something like that, ain't he? Stacy's eyes narrowed upon TJ. Maybe, he said, but he ain't got no right to go running his mouth about things ain't supposed to be told. TJ stepped backward and looked nervously over his shoulder to the south where the fields lay fallow. The rutted wagon trail, which cut through the fields leading from the distant Granger mansion, revealed a thin woman stepping briskly toward us. TJ seemed to take heart from the figure and grew cocky again. Don't know who been telling, but it ain't been me. A moment's silence passed, and then Stacy, his eyes cold and condemning, said quietly, It was you, all right, TJ, it was you. Then turning, he motioned us back to the forest. Ain't you going to beat him up? Cried a disappointed little man. What he's got coming to him is worse than a beating, replied Stacy. What could be worse than that? Asked Christopher John. You'll see, said Stacy. And so will TJ. And what does he mean by that? It sounds almost like karma, you know? When you're doing things that are just wrong and bad and you're going against your own and you're, out for yourself, that usually doesn't end well for a person. TJ's first day back at school after almost a week's absence was less than successful. Avoiding us in the morning, he arrived late, only to be shunned by the other students. At first, he pretended that the students' attitude didn't matter. But by the afternoon, when school was out, he hurried after us, attempting to convince us that he merely was a victim of circumstances. Hey, y'all ain't gonna hold what Lil Willie said against me, are you? He asked. Still saying what little Willie said ain't true? Questioned Stacy. Why, shoot, yeah, he explained. When I catch up with that little rascal, I'm going to beat him to a pulp round here telling everybody I got Miss Logan fired. Ain't nobody even speaking to me no more. Little Willie probably done told them Wallace's himself. So he figured to get out of it by telling everybody it was, don't you stop lying, I said testily. Don't nobody believe you. Well, I should have known you wouldn't, Cassie. You never liked me nohow. Well, anyway, that's the truth, I agreed. But, said TJ, grinning again and turning toward little man Christopher John, my little buddy Christopher John believes me, don't you, fella? And you still my pal, ain't you, little man? An indignant little man looked up at TJ, but before he could speak, easygoing Christopher John said, you told on Mama, TJ, and now she all unhappy because she can't teach school no more, and it's all your fault. And we don't like you no more. Yeah, added little man in agreement. TJ stared down at Christopher John, not believing that he had said that. Then he laughed uneasily. I don't know what's gotten into folks. Everyone's gone crazy. Look, said Stacy, stopping. First you run off with that mouth and to them Wallaces, and now you're blaming little Willie for what you done? Why don't you just admit it was you? Hey, man, TJ exclaimed, grinning his easy grin. But then finding that the grin and the smooth words no longer worked, his face dropped. Oh, all right. So maybe if I did say something about Miss Logan, I can't even remember saying nothing about it. But if both little Willie and Clarence said I did, then maybe I did. Anyways, I'm real sorry about your mama losing her job, and all of us, including Claude, stared distastefully at TJ, walked away from him. Hey, wait, I said I was sorry, didn't I? He asked, following us. Look, what's a fella got to do anyway? Hey, y'all, look, this here's still old TJ. I ain't changed. Y'all can't turn on me just because you're the one that turned, TJ. Stacy called over her shoulder. Now leave us alone. We don't want no more to do with you. TJ, for the first time comprehending that we were no longer his friends, stopped. Then, standing alone in the middle of the road, he screamed after us. Who need y'all anyway? I've been tired of y'all always hanging around for a long time now, but I've been too nice to tell you. I should have known better. What I look like having a bunch of little kids around all the time, and me here 14, near grown. We walked on, not stopping. Got me better friends than y'all. They give me things and treat me like a man, and they white too. His voice faded into the wind as we left him, and we heard no more. Ooh. There are 12 chapters in the book, and we are now on chapter 9. So we are going to be approaching the resolution. Well, the climax and then the resolution. Stop there.